Hello, I'm Karma Kitaj, and I'm your host for A Livelihood, New Adventures as We Age. And today I'm going to introduce you to Ed Merck, who is, I would say he's a true adventurer, and he wrote about his transition to becoming an adventurer in a new book coming out soon. So welcome, Ed.
Well, thank you. Great to be here, Karma.
Yeah, it's so good to have you. So Ed, I want to talk with you about your transformation, and you've made a big one in your life. And I know a few years ago you retired from having been in higher education for a long time, right? And then in your own business.
That's correct. That's correct, yes.
And since then your life has changed completely, huh?
Well, that's true. Just a short 4 years ago, actually, I was cruising right along, and having gone through my middle years with a lot of flame and glory and a lot of success in the business world. As you said, was an executive in higher education, owned a software business.
Mm-hmm. What was the software business?
Well, we created customized strategic and financial planning software for colleges and universities. Mm-hmm. So in many ways, it folded together everything that I had done over the prior 40 years, put it into a software package, and then installed it at various colleges and universities. First starting in the East Coast, and then throughout the country.
Right. So when you said that you retired 4 years ago, does that mean what happened with your business?
Well, I'm not sure how we would define retire anyway. I would say I began a very significant life transition, and that started with the very precipitous and sort of unexpected sale of the business. It ended up being a very good thing, but I wasn't really expecting it. And so almost overnight I was out of work, and within that same 6-month period I found myself with my son going off to college, and I had been married prior to that, mostly through my middle years, and that ended very precipitously as well. So who I thought I was anyway, as a father, as a spouse, as a businessman, pretty much dissipated almost overnight.
What did you do to get yourself out of that? It sounds like you must have been in a funk for a while.
Well, yeah, it was very challenging. It felt to me like I was just swimming around in this sea of ambiguity, not knowing my way, not knowing who I was. And the more I thought about it, the more I allowed myself really to sort of be with the discomfort. The more I realized that this was a major choice point in my life, and basically I could do one of two things. At least this is how I understood it. So the first was I could sort of do what seemed to be the culturally acceptable thing, join a couple of not-for-profit boards and sort of restore my identity that way. Well, pretty much behave myself and wait till my number got called. That had very little appeal for me. What I really wanted to do was to live on the edge. I wanted to feel the vitality in my life. I wanted to feel really alive. And I also wanted to feel that there was depth to my life. I didn't want to just hang out and, as I said, wait for my number to be called. So for me, given my background and the passions that I had in my life, going to the sea seemed like just a ticket, and wanted to see what that would do for me, and how
and we have lots of pictures of your sailboat, right?
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. How big is that boat?
Well, it's 36 feet, but there's a big bowsprit, so most sailors would consider that to be 42 feet, but we're splitting hairs here. What's important is that it's a cutter rig, so it has a variety of different head sails that you can use to adjust basically the sail power and the sail plan. So the different ways of balancing things and balancing the relationship between the yacht and the wind, which is what sailing is all about, is how to stay in right relationship to the wind and to the weather. In some ways, the ocean for me, and sailing the ocean is a metaphorical. Well, for me, it's really the best metaphor, I think, for emptiness and really impermanence. The sort of two hallmarks of
Nothing
Buddhism.
stays the same, right?
Nothing stays the same. If you think of the ocean and the water, it's continually forming and reforming and melding and moving and transforming, but nothing is fixed. Everything is fluid. There's a very beautiful holding quality to the ocean and to that essence of being deep into the moment. And it's like, for me, it's a meditation that is just ongoing and continuous. And every hour brings you deeper.
Did it take you a while, though, to be able to get to that place?
Well, you know, it was frightening. The transition has been very frightening. When you're so used to fashioning your life around the future and the past, with a little bit of present moment thrown in, to shift that in such a dramatic, such a radical way was very frightening at first.
Absolutely.
So I sort of think of this as the very beginnings of a journey.
And I know you write about this journey in your book, right?
That's correct. That's
so
correct.
Why don't we talk about your book?
Great, great. Thank you for mentioning that. Well, my book is a memoir. It's called Sailing the Mystery, My Journey into Life's Later Chapters. So the book is about a lot of different things. First of all, it's about personal transformation and my own personal transformation, a lot of which we've already been hitting on. But it's also, in a more generalized sense, about the often treacherous, at least challenging transition from the middle years, what I like to think of as career and parenting, if that's your choice, into the later chapters, which I find to be much more inwardly focused, where the guidance system shifts from being more external to something being more internal. So that's the sort of, yeah.
That's the essence of the book.
That's the essence of the book.
When is it going to be published?
Well, it should be out in September. Well, I think September, the editor thinks October, but this fall, 2012, me too.
I want to shift gears because I'm looking at your wonderful big bass recorder here.
Ah, yes.
And
I almost forgot about it. I'm glad you remembered.
yeah, and we're going to hear you play for a moment.
Great.
So let's take a little pause.
Great.
Well, that's a very meditative sound. So, you've played recorder for a long time, I guess, huh? You said, I think you've told me that music has been part of your life throughout this big transformation, huh?
Actually, music has been one of the, it's been the constant in my life ever since childhood.
I think you told me that your love is music of a certain age, Baroque and Renaissance.
Well, for pretty much the last 35 years, I've been focused on medieval, Renaissance, and a little Baroque music.
Well, this has been lovely to get to know you, Ed, and it's wonderful just to hear about the breadth and depth of your being these days. I don't know what you were like before, but you certainly sound like a whole human being.
Well, thank you. There's a lot more mystery to it these days, and you know, when I set out to sail into the mystery, I didn't know how that year was going to be like as we talked. And you know, the one thing I found out was that there's no destination. There's no there. You know, it's just
in the process.
That's right, and it's just about adding capacity to embrace more of the mystery.